square root of 74. Okay, so no, the square root doesn't just cancel itself. All right, now taking this, if c is equal to the square root of a squared plus b squared, and I have an xy axis, and let's say I have a point here at 1, 6, and a point here at 6, 1. And I want to find the distance between those 2 points. All right, well, using this Pythagorean theorem, if we were to draw or create a right triangle to where that is the hypotenuse, that means we're going to come down how many units? 5. And we're going to go across how many units? 5. Because if we're at 6 on the y-axis and we go down to 1, what's that distance? 5. How did I get 5 if I'm at 6 and I go down to 1? I subtracted. How did I get 5 if I'm at 1 and I go to 6? I subtracted. Okay? Now watch carefully. If this is C, and this is what I would call A, and this is what I would call B, because it's the distance, plug that into that, and you have your formula. If x minus x is A,
can that be flipped around?
Yeah. Is it x1 or x2?
it really doesn't matter, because once you square it, it's going to be positive. Okay? If you want to put a sub 1 and 2, whichever order, it doesn't really matter. All right, so if A is equal to x minus x, then A squared is x minus x squared. If B is equal to y minus y, then B squared is equal to y minus y squared. And so now we have our distance formula, where the distance between 2 points is found this way. And it all stems from the Pythagorean theorem and the use of right triangles. But if I simply give you 2 points and ask for the distance between them, you don't want to have to go draw a triangle using an XY axis, counting things out. A simple little formula would be very helpful. Okay? All right, so first thing we're going to do is we are going to find the distance between two negative 4 and 10 negative 10 without putting it on an XY coordinate plane. Using the formula, again, identifying X and identifying Y should not be an issue.
How do you know which x goes first?
It doesn't matter. Because when you square it, it's all going to wash out anyway. Don't forget to continue writing your radical as you're working the problem. Otherwise, you're going to forget. I promise, you're going to forget, and your answer will need to be, square root will need to be taken. Yes?
Is it always going to give C's, or are we going to have to be fun with it?
For now, we're starting with this. Okay? Now, as you do this, remember, if you have to subtract a negative, what happens? Turns to addition. All right, so my x coordinates are 2 and 10. Okay, so it's 2 minus 10. My y coordinates are negative 4 and negative 10. So So whichever one follows the minus sign, you're going to turn to plus. Now here's why I said the order you put them in doesn't matter. Negative 4 plus 10 is 6, and 6 squared is what? 36. If I had said negative 10 plus 4, that would be negative 6, but negative 6 squared is still 36. So it really doesn't matter. Okay? All right. Take it one step at a time. 2 minus 10 is negative 8. Like we just said, negative 4 plus 10 is 6. We've got to square first and then add, following our order of operations. Exponents, and addition is very last. That's 64 plus 36, which is 100. So we're looking for the square root of 100. So the distance between those 2 points was 10. Now your distances are not always going to be a perfect whole number. Okay? A lot of times you're going to get a radical. If you get a radical, just make sure it's reduced. We should remember how to do that. Okay, using the distance formula, find the distance between these 2 points. I suggest that you write the distance formula the first few times, every single time, and that'll help it stick in your brain. And actually say it to yourself as you're writing it. It's a memorization technique. Luke, what did you get? Very good. Square root of 122. Let's look at how we got that. The distance is the square root of x minus x squared plus y minus y squared. My x's are 7 and negative 4. 7 minus a negative 4 squared. My y's are 8 and 9. 8 minus 9 squared. 7 plus 4 is what? 11. 11 squared is? 8 minus 9 is? Negative 1 squared? 1. We need to add that up and then take the square root. That's 122. Now, if you try to break down 122, it's 2 times 61. You can't do anything with it. So you leave it as the square root of 122, the distance between those 2 points. Now try this one. Yes?
So if we use this formula, we won't have to use that one. B equals the square root of h.
This formula is derived from the Pythagorean theorem. So you are using the other one. You have specific points. So you're having to find the distance between those points. So the one you need to remember is this one. X minus x squared plus y minus y squared. Yes, what?
Test where you like find the midpoint.
We find the midpoint, find the distance, and then I'll have some, crazy little word problems where you got to figure out if you need to look for the midpoint of the distance. Plus other stuff.